Hello, welcome to Furious Driving, and it is cock-a-doodle-doo o'clock in the morning, and I am about to go and collect the 420 GSi Tourer from the car barn so I can get it off for its MOT today. Quickly, JB weld a couple of repair patch panels over those small holes so it doesn't look like something worth drawing attention to, which is not going to work. Right, it's mega early, I'm tired, I need a cup of tea, let's get on the road. Right, Freelander has moved out the way, now I just need to manoeuvre the Rover out of the barn. Haha! Love a T-Series. Well, there you go, it's leaking coolant and oil. This really is a proper T-Series. Great engines, but boy do they dribble. Well, good news. This, the second time ever I have driven this car, it's running really well. There's a slight rough sound from somewhere in the front suspension, which might just be the brake discs kind of clearing off. Hopefully nothing more. But so far, fingers crossed and touch wood, all seems good. So I'll run it back, get a cup of tea. It's still a bit too early because I've left so early in the morning to go and do this particular errand because Mrs. Furious is going to work shortly. And then I need to be back home before she leaves for work, obviously. So this is a mega early run to get the car to the house, grab a cup of tea, then get the car around to the garage as soon as it opens. So yeah, we'll find out in a couple of hours if this thing is road legal or not. Fingers crossed, everybody. The JB weld was taking longer to set than actual welding, and this is possibly the worst welding I've ever done, so I'm going to show it to you from quite a long way away so you don't get a good look at it. But yeah, I've done proper welding on it, which I will now cut off when I get home again and do nicer welding. Now, I really didn't know if this car was going to pass its MOT, and we'll find out if it did in just a moment. But although I had done a really good pre-MOT look underneath and examination of this Rover, that was after I bought it, which is of course the correct Furious Driving approved method of buying a car. But if you want to spend less time making bad financial decisions than me and have a better idea of what you're spending your hard-earned money on, not just dodgy eBay photos, little muzzy out-of-focus pictures of a hubcap and some lacquer peel, and a promise from the seller that it's all going to be okay, you need today's sponsor, CarVertical. Now, a car's history can be hiding all sorts of nasty secrets and surprises, but by searching through international government registrations like the DVLA here in the UK, insurance and manufacturer databases, auction history and more, CarVertical can reveal if a car you're considering has accident history, odometer fraud, even been stolen in another country, as CarVertical works across 20 different countries, and maybe that can save you a wasted trip to look at a car, or worse still, buying unseen online and not knowing what you've got until it turns up here on a trailer. I mean, what kind of idiot would do that? Yeah. So for a small outlay, a CarVertical report can save you big money if you discover your dream car has higher mileage than it says, has missed a recall, is stolen, or has outstanding finance, or actually used to be a taxi or a rental car. And their research has shown that almost every sixth hire car has been in an accident. Not something you want to be buying. So to see if a car you're looking at has a hidden past the seller doesn't want to share, click the link in the description below and maybe save a world of hurt, and definitely save 10% on your CarVertical fee with my link. See, I'm good to you. Now, let's see if this Rover is going to be on the road in no time, or I'm going to be going into my own personal world of hurt trying to get it sorted out. Well, good news, it got a negative pass, which is another way of saying it failed. Not too badly, not really what I was expecting it to fail on. It had a couple of side light bulbs which were out, which I hadn't noticed, sorry, which the garage have replaced, and so that's an automatic pass on the retest. There's an advisory on crack in the bottom of the windscreen on the passenger side underneath the windscreen wiper, so it doesn't really notice, you can't really see it. It's an advisory, and as I've said previously, I think the windscreen's probably going to break when I take it out to try and do the rust, so I'm not that worried about that either. Monitor and repair brake disc looking a bit tired on the back, and I think the reason for that is the actual fail, which is the near side rear handbrake not operating even a little bit, completely stone dead, nothing happening whatsoever. So that probably also means that the caliper on that wheel down there isn't doing very much, or as much as it could be doing compared to the other one. So let's go and get a new caliper on this thing, whack it on there, and then take it back for a retest and see if we can get this old beast on the road some more. I've got to say, I was not expecting that fail. I mean, I was expecting something like massive, unexpected corrosion that I couldn't see from the position on the jack because it's a 20-year-old car that's been sat for a long time. Or I was expecting ridiculous emissions out of control because it's a T-Series and the sensor wouldn't have worked, but not expecting handbrake fail. So I've been on the phone to JR, and you know what? They had about a dozen of these on the shelf. I mean, which suggests that perhaps it's either a very common failure or it's shared with a couple of the more popular cars than this. So the fact that was here within about an hour of me making the phone call was fantastic. So I can whack that on in a moment. And whilst I was on the phone to them, I also got a full set of wiper blades, because the front ones, although they didn't get a mention as an advisory, I think they could be a little bit better. They're a tiny bit smeary, and the one on the back has fallen apart completely. So that's 2 more things to do. Right, let's crack on. Right, here's where the interesting doom mechanical stuff starts, and of course this is where the microphone stopped working. But don't worry, this only lasts a couple of minutes. I whipped the wheel off. It had been copper slipped on by the previous owner, but was still stuck on. The first thing I did was to try a bit of the Bulldog BDX I've been hearing so much about. So just a few squirts of that, and then a whole 4 minutes of letting it rest time. And you know what? It's astonishing how good this stuff is. Now, before I took the caliper off and started throwing bits away, I wanted to make sure it was the caliper, not the cable. And so yes, you can see the cable is actuating the caliper, but nothing is happening inside. So this thing can go in the bin. And so to compare, this is handbrake off, and this is handbrake on. Not a lot of difference. To take this off, there's basically 4 12mm bolts you have to undo. 2 that hold the caliper to the caliper carrier, and 2 that hold the handbrake bracket to the caliper as well. But look how easily these came undone. This is not right. Normally I struggle with Lego harder than this. Machines hate me, but yet the Bulldog seems to have done the trick. Also, the Rover engineers hate me because you need a whole variety of different sockets and spanners to get everything undone. It came undone without too much of a fight. But you do need a spanner on the bottom one with a little gentle persuasion. And don't forget your magnetic tray to not to lose your bolts as you're chucking them around the driveway. And now lever off the caliper, and underneath all of this gunk is somewhere a clevis pin and a split pin just holding the cable onto the caliper mechanism itself. So give that a bit of a clean up, and we can probably dig it out from underneath there. Yeah, eventually out came the split pin, pair of pliers, and you can finagle out the clevis pin, and everything is free. And this is why I really discovered that it would have been so much easier to undo the hydraulic pipe if I'd left it bolted to the car and done that, you know, just slackened it off before. I didn't think of that. So guess what? I'm going to have to bolt the caliper back on again. Look at this fool doing stuff he's done already. Now we can undo it. Undone. Now I do actually have a correct tool from Draper for clamping hydraulic flexi hoses so you don't drip your fluid all over the floor. However, that's over in the barn again. So a pair of mole grips and an old microfiber cloth to stop it digging into the rubber will have to do today. Now this is a remanufactured caliper, but it looks amazing. It comes with everything you need, the grease, even the little rubber shrouds that go around the pins. So we'll try not to lose all those bits. Give the little banjo bolt a bit of a clean up because everything's a bit grotty under this car. And look how shiny this is. Sorry, it's not the best camera angle, but yes, it is incredibly shiny and lovely and looks so good on the back of that car. And as the Haynes manual says, reassembly is the opposite of taking it to pieces, or words to that effect. And finally, before we put this all back together again, let's give the guide pins a quick clean up. Just lever out, yes it does, let's put a nice new one in there. So if you take a look at how the other one comes out before we put the first one back in, the big collar bit up there lives up like that. So we can smear some of this lovely, lovely grease on that. If we can open it, which I can't. Pull up a knife and mother trousers. It's interesting how lovely and clear, almost white and almost transparent this stuff is, whereas the one that's come out is black and grimy. Whoop. There we go, one down. Another black gooey horrible thing there. Get rid of this old rubber grommet, that can go too. A bit of a clean up on here. That's a bit rusty on the top there as well actually. So Might give this a little sand with some very fine emery cloth before I put this one back in, because that one might be causing me problems and sticking. Right, so having subjected this to a bit of a polish with some 600 grit, it looks a bit cleaner now, a bit more lovely and friendly. So let's get this slider back in there, and hopefully this will all be a functioning, working. Oh, yuck everywhere, goo everywhere. Right, so apart from the weather changing completely over the last few minutes, I've also just changed over to the GoPro, because I realised showing you on the big camera and tripod wasn't really showing you anything that was going on. And I also discovered that the microphone wasn't actually working properly either, so the last few minutes you've watched will have a strange voiceover where I try and remember everything I was saying 7 or 6 days ago when I was doing this job. Now, next thing I need to do is set the caliper up, which means turning the piston. I can't remember if the thing said anti-clockwise or clockwise. I'll go and read the thing again. In order to get it ready, then we should be ready to go. So I need to turn this anti-clockwise, which I wish I'd done before I'd connected everything up to it. And slide it all back together again. I was talking about putting grease and stuff on it. Ah, damn it. When there's no microphone running a minute ago on the other camera. Oh, it needs half a turn in still. Guess I turned it too far out. Now this is a great bit of design here, because you can't get the ratcheting spanner over the bolt when it's more than halfway out. Once you've started it, it's fine, but also it works the opposite direction, that if you go too far ratcheting it out, you can't go back in again. Right, okay, that is handbrake off, and that's really quite tight. Let's try this now, handbrake on. It makes no flipping difference whatsoever. That's disappointing. Let's go and cycle it a lot, see if that makes any difference. For reference, cycling in this case just means putting the handbrake on a bunch. Still turns way too easily. Aha! It's adjusting up now. That's a relief. Cycling seems to be working a bit. So Furious Junior is in the driver's seat on brake pedal duties. Got some .4 here to top up the reservoir. That's pretty manky actually, could do with a full brake flush. Right, if you can give me 3 pumps, 1, 2, 3, and then hold it.
Me?
Yeah, so go pump, 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 and then put your foot right down to the bottom. Oh, it's managed to go on the floor, excellent, that's good. That's what I like to see, missing the jar entirely. Do that one more time, pump, 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 then to the floor. 1, 2, 3, hold down. There we go. That now doesn't turn at all. Fantastic. I could put the wheel on, take the jack out, get this thing on the road, back to the MOT station. Hurrah! Also, we've got the car this high off the ground, we can have another look underneath. But yeah, you can see under here, it's a bit like Quentin was, in so much as it's solid, but lots of surface rust because the plasticky powder coating, whatever you want to call it, has all come off. So I do need to spend a day or two underneath this car with a wire brush and get this thing all wax oiled up to keep it looking solid. Right, that is now done. Let's get this thing back up to the MOT station for a retest, and hopefully this car is now drivable and on the road properly again. Hurrah! Other things I'm noticing are these courtesy lights here in the boot. Look like they need new blades. There's a crack in that. This hinge, well, it's not as bad as it was a minute ago. Definitely a bit of oil. And this seat just here has got a split which needs the attention of a trimmer. And everything needs a blooming good clean. I'm also just noticing the extent of this growth on this car. I know cleaning it won't make a massive difference to its appearance, but I am looking forward to jet washing this thing very soon. Let's give it some quick blast of lithium on there, because that sounds horrible. Oh, that's better. Much nicer. I can do all the doors now. That sounds good to start with, but you know. Silencio. Right, this one had, oh my gosh, completely given up, and someone tried to cable tie it to the car. Oh, even when they're easy, wipers are fiddly. One down. For once, I really don't mind dumping stuff on the bonnet, because really it's not going to make it any worse at all. That's a little catchy thing to release this. Ouch. Oh, that was easy. Oh, that was not clever. Gosh, minimal kerfufflage. Let's give it some quick blast of lithium on there, because that sounds horrible. Oh, that's better. Much nicer. I can do all the doors now. That sounds good to start with, but you know. Silencio. Well, looky what we got us here. We got us a positive pass, not a negative pass like before, but a positive pass, which means it's an actual pass. Handbrake functional, which makes no difference to the actual driving of the car on a day-to-day basis, but it does mean I can park it on a hill and it will still be there when I come back, which is always a positive. Advisory for the crack in the windscreen as before. So yes, the car is now road legal, it's taxed, insured, MOT'd, all the stuff you expect it to be, and I can actually use it and enjoy it. And the question is now what to do. And I think I already kind of decided that it was going to go back to original Night Fire Red, because I love Night Fire Red on an R8. It's one of the best colours for them, apart from maybe Amaranth Purple. Tahiti Blue is very nice as well, but I think on a car like this, the metallic red really does go lovely. So I'm going to have to look at making it not look like this, which is just horrible. So I'll give it a good clean up. I'm going to take that bit of wood out, revarnish that. I've never done revarnishing wood from a car, so that'll be exciting. What else do we need to do? Radiator needs changing. It's lost a lot of fins, but it seems to be cooling okay, so it's like a preemptive strike. I will change the radiator as part of a major service coming up on this in the near future, so I'll give it a proper brake fluid flush. And what else? Well, coolant, oils, stuff, you know, all the usual bits and pieces. Get the thing running and looking nice, and to be fair, it runs really nicely. I'm driving down this fairly bouncy, bumpy little country lane, and it is so lovely and pliant. I would actually quite like to lower it just for the looks alone, but I'd hate to lose this lovely ride. There's quite an epic drop-off on the side of the tarmac on the left-hand side just there. So yeah, that would have been quite a bad ending to the day if I'd beached the car. So yes, I might do a few little subtle modifications as well. A bit of window tinting would look good on this thing. State cars with dark wood glass look good. Change the wheels for something a bit more exciting. We've done the Rover Cosmos wheels like you'd find on a BRM on the coupe already, so something a bit more interesting might be quite fun. Yeah, there's a few options and things to do on the car. Maybe one day we'll get bored and fit a turbo to it. That would be quite exciting. Who knows? Maybe I'll just completely get bored and sell it and buy something completely different. Who knows? I don't know. I'm undecided at this point. But it does mean that this car is now ready to go to Pole Private Longbridge in about 2 weeks' time. So we've now got two contenders, the coupe, which I might take, but it's now losing oil at such a rate through the rocker cover gasket that I'm kind of loath to drive it more than about 20 miles in case it suddenly catastrophically leaks all its oil somewhere. And there's always the possibility I might get a 200 VI MOT in time. But that will mean taxing yet another car this month, so I might MOT it this month and then tax it from the 1st of May, just so I've not got yet another bill, basically. Because it turns out running this many cars costs quite a lot of money. Who knew? Oh, this car is really nice to drive. I'll be honest, on a long journey like going to Birmingham, this would be far more comfortable than the coupe, because that is absolutely slammed on the bigger wheels and you feel the bumps in that one. This one is more of a glider than a bumper, if those are things. I'm not sure they are. But right, I am now very happy. I'm going to have to make sure I put a few miles on this car over the next few weeks, make sure it's reliable. It certainly feels reliable. I'm also going to get to the bottom of why there are quite so many fuses on the dashboard, because it doesn't seem to be blowing any. Oh yeah, I need to change I need to change this wiper stalk, because that bumper just set the wipers off. Yeah, Joseph from Lloyd's Vehicle Consulting channel did give me a new wiper stalk up at the NEC, which I think is still in the boot of the Crown Victoria actually. I need to go and figure out what I did with that. It won't be far away, and I can attach that and that'll be far superior. Right, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed yet another Phoenix-like tale of redemption and recovery for another R8 Rover, which is back on the road, on the road to recovery, to becoming a member of society again. Please do check out today's sponsor, CarVertical. Don't forget you get a discount with my code. If you've not been over to the Furious Driving website, we've got a whole range of merch, hats, t-shirts, key rings, badges, you name it. Well, that's basically it. On there, furiousdriving.co.uk. And if you haven't already, hit like and subscribe, then make sure you do that as well. These bumps are setting the wipers off some more. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching.